The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
USAA. This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
They sent me out for the day. I came back that afternoon and found my motorcycle on the ground, damaged.
No note?
No note.
This is the plaintiff, Elliot Faber. He says the defendant backed into his motorcycle, knocking it to the ground, and it got damaged. The guy didn't tell him about it. He had to get surveillance video from his building, and is here suing this man of bad character for the $1,313.91 he's owed. This is the defendant, Jorge Mejia. He says he was backing into one of his assigned truck spots and didn't see the plaintiff's motorcycle, which was illegally parked in his spot, and he must have knocked it over. He told the plaintiff about it. The guy has a cracked mirror on the 27-year-old bike, and this guy is trying to make a federal case out of it. He's accused of taking off.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
The People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mr. Faber, tell me what happened here.
I parked my motorcycle when I was going into work that day, and
Where did you park it?
I was parked against a fence in a private parking lot, and there were all private vehicles all parked along that fence when I parked my motorcycle.
Okay, I'm not quite understanding. So the spaces are all facing the fence?
Correct.
And did you park facing the same way the cars were, or did you park sideways?
No, I parked straight into a parking space.
Parking space. And was it a parking space that you were allowed to park at?
Yes, I asked the people that I was working with, and they said I could park in any space.
Okay. And how long had you been working there?
This was only my second day.
Okay, and what
was
happened?
just helping them out.
And what happened?
They sent me out for the day. I came back that afternoon and found my motorcycle on the ground, damaged.
No note?
No note.
So what'd you do?
Wasn't much I could do. My bike was an older bike, so...
When did you get this bike?
I bought this bike brand new in May of 1985.
As a graduation present for yourself after college?
Correct. I bought this bike. I had just broken up after a long relationship, and I bought it just to, something to do.
Well, it seems like it lasted longer than the relationship for sure.
Yes, I courted my wife on this motorcycle.
Okay. So the motorcycle then is how old?
That would make the motorcycle, at that date, it was in its 36th season.
Oh, wow. All right. So then what happens when you see the motorcycle down? What is it you do?
The first thing I do is scream and curse a lot. I pick the bike up and I'm just looking around the bike and looking at the damage to see if I can even get back home, because I have an 18-mile ride to get back home. Mm-hmm. I went back into the place where I was helping out, and I asked for some tools because the bike, in the condition it was in, was not rideable. Okay. There were several parts that had to be bent back into place just to make the bike rideable, and that I could take it back on local roads and to get it back home.
Okay, so you did get the bike home, and then how do you find out who did this?
Okay, well, I asked the people that I was with because there were three cameras on the roof of the building, and they looked through their footage, and they said they couldn't see it because there was a truck in the way, so they couldn't definitively see on the right side of the truck. So I called they gave me the phone number for the landlord, and I called the landlord and gave him the dates and the time parameter. And 5 minutes later, he called me back and he says, I have a video for you if you want, but I'll send you a bunch of screenshots. And so I had like 6 or 7 screenshots, in progression that I had in my possession. And I could tell who it was because there was a distinctive Jeep that would park next to my vehicle every day. And you could see the person walking to that Jeep, which was next to my bike that day. And then you could see that person pulling his Jeep out and then backing his truck into the spot where his Jeep was. Then you could see him hitting the bike and then the bike falling on the ground, and then he just left the bike on the ground.
Okay, so how did you find out that that truck belonged to the defendant?
I had asked, again, the people that I work with, and they said, Jorge every day would pull his truck out in the morning, pull his Jeep into that spot, and do just the opposite every afternoon.
So how did you find him to approach him and talk to him about the damages to your motorcycle?
I don't know exactly what day, but after talking with the landlord had told me Jorge was a very nice guy, that I should take the high road.
Okay.
And I said, okay, I've got no problem taking the high road. So I saw him getting out of his Jeep one morning, and I approached him and I said, excuse me, Jorge, I have some pictures I need to show you of an accident that occurred. And right away, Jorge is apologizing, saying, I didn't see your bike, I didn't see your bike. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm saying, I haven't told this guy yet that it was my bike.
Okay,
But
so hold on,
night,
back up. So before you show him the pictures, he's apologizing for hitting your bike?
Exactly, without my telling him that he hit a bike.
Mr. Mejia, what happened that day?
Okay, good afternoon. I've been parking my trucks there for 10 years. If you see against the fence, it's only trucks parking there. It's only space for 10 trucks.
Is this communal parking, or does this you're talking as though this parking belongs to you?
No. We pay rent over there to the landlord.
Everybody pays rent. Like the people who employed him also pay rent. So are you saying no one else has a right to park there but your trucks?
The trucks, because that's the space for the trucks. If you see the line, I sent some pictures.
Okay, I'm looking at pictures, and I'm seeing some trucks, and I'm also seeing some cars. I don't see any signs that say that this just belongs to your business. There's multiple businesses that this landlord rents to, right? And all of them have shared parking there. Why does this belong just to you? There's no signs that say that. Did anybody tell you you couldn't park there?
No, in fact,
were there
I asked
any
them
signs saying this belongs to JMT Express Transport only? Parking for JMT Express Transport? Are there any signs, Mr. Mejia, that say that?
No.
Mr. Mejia, are there any signs that say parking only for JMT Express Transport?
No, it's not signs.
Then how is anybody going to know? And why should I believe that those are exclusively yours? But more importantly, you hit the guy's motorcycle and then you walked away.
I walk away, and yes, I walk away because I don't see the motorcycle. When you back up,
you didn't feel your truck hit the motorcycle and the motorcycle crashed down? Because it damaged it on the side you hit it, and then, of course, the motorcycle falls and it gets damaged on the other side, too.
Yeah, because it's a 28-footer truck. When you're backing up, the space looks empty because that's where I park every day. That's the reserve for the JMT Express trucks.
Okay, stop saying that, because I don't see any evidence of that. Prove to me that those spaces are reserved just for you. Just prove it to me.
No, I got to
No, come on, prove it to me. Show me the signs. Show me the agreement with the landlord that no one else can park there. Show me how anybody would know that they're your spaces. You keep saying it like just you saying it makes it so, like you've got a wand. That's not how it works. Prove to me those are your spaces. Go ahead, I'm listening. Prove it to me. Not say it over and over. Prove it to me. With evidence.
I got no way to prove.
Right, you have no evidence. Not only am I looking at them with my eyeballs, I see that there's no sign saying it's your parking. So anybody can park there, so stop saying you couldn't park there. Now, more importantly, you hit a motorcycle. That makes a noise, okay? How is it you don't realize you've hit it?
Because, George, it's a big truck.
Okay.
It's a diesel truck. It's a big engine.
Okay, so
And
now
when you
the
back
guy,
up-
so the guy then approaches you weeks later when he's been able to get you on surveillance, and according to him, before he shows you the pictures, you're apologizing. Is that not true?
Yeah. I say, yeah, it's true. And I say, okay, I agree. I will take care of pay $600. He say, no,
Wait,
he want more.
stop, back up. The guy, tell me how the conversation goes with the plaintiff. He approaches you in the parking lot and says what?
Yeah.
What's he
we
say?
talk. He say, I got some picture to show you that you hit my motorcycle. I say, yes, I did. I hit it.
Oh, how are you saying that if you haven't even seen the pictures yet? According to you, you didn't know you hit the motorcycle. Why are you saying, yes, I hit the motorcycle?
No, because
I guess you
everybody
do
told
know
us
you
so.
hit the motorcycle.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, because they told me. His coworker told me that you hit the motorcycle.
Okay.
I say, okay, I talked to the man and I tried to fix it. I tried to.
So
I tried
you're
to work
willing
it
to
out with
pay
him.
for the damage you created as long as it's in your price range?
Yeah, I told him he's a nice guy. We talk and say, okay, I will pay you $600 because I think that's more than fair.
How do you know? Wait, stop. Where do you come off deciding how much the damages are without waiting for a professional to give him an estimate? Like you decided the damages were $600?
No, because what I do is I try to get prices for motorcycle, for that kind of motorcycle, for the mirror.
How can you get accurate prices if the motorcycle didn't visit the places that you're talking about? They can't give you an accurate quote without looking at it?
No, because I figured that out, like how much I can find out how much.
I don't know how you can figure that out. How are you going to figure it out if he doesn't take his motorcycle there? You as the person who crashed his motorcycle, don't get to pick where he takes his motorcycle to. You took your motorcycle somewhere, and the estimate was $1,313.91. Correct, Mr. Faber?
Yes.
And the Blue Book value of that motorcycle is more than that. He's capped by the value of the motorcycle, but the value of the motorcycle is actually more than that. So this is not an unreasonable estimate, and who am I going to believe? You or the estimate? You're the guy who hit the motorcycle and left. I mean, verdict for the plaintiff, $1,313.91.
So the plaintiff prevails. He's going to get what he was seeking, $1,313. Mr. Mejia, what are you thinking now? The judge found against you.
What we're going to do? She don't even listen to me, so there's nothing we can do. But those damages don't cost not even half of that price. Not even.
I'm sorry, but that's what you're going to have to pay. Mr. Faber, I suggest you be a little more careful where you park your motorcycle next time. What do you think?
I knew after that day, I started riding my wife's motorcycle and parking it on the other side of the parking lot.
I think that's a smart move for you. You okay with the judge's verdict?
Yeah, I'm happy. I just wish Mr. Mejia would have stepped up to the plate. I mean, we shook hands and he agreed to take care of whatever damages were on the bike. But, when push came to shove, he wasn't a man. So
He backed up.
at the end of the day, justice prevailed.
Well, you did the right thing. You filed the lawsuit, and that's exactly what small claims court is for. Congratulations. Very good. All right, Harvey, let's see what you have to say about this. What are you thinking?
So, Doug, this is a truism that when somebody parks illegally, even if it's clear he shouldn't have parked there, that is no excuse to not see what you should see, and if you hit it, even if it's your space, you're responsible.
What are your thoughts on scary movies? Do you like them?
I didn't used to when I was a little kid. If someone told me about a scary movie, I couldn't sleep for 6 months. It was just really...
just the word
just the
scary
anxiety,
movie.
just tell me about it.
You were an anxious child.
I was an anxious child, but now I kind of get a thrill out of them, and I do like them. I don't like gore.
So it's not the slasher stuff. It's the psychological.
The psychological thriller. And
suspense,
I
terror.
can take a little slashing. I just.
Just not non-stop slashing.
Right.
I'm with you there. I like the ones that are suggestive of terror always get me more.
They're more terrifying.
I love scary movies, but you don't have to even have the monster or the slasher on the screen. It's just the...
the psychological thriller. My kids actually got me into scary movies because Christy, my eldest, had a friend who was really into them and got her into them, and then I would let them watch it during the day so I wouldn't get scared because I could watch it too.
This episode is brought to you by Walmart. New beauty is in bloom at Walmart, and it's all about springtime radiance. From Drybar, Tula Skincare, and hundreds more available online, Walmart has the premium brands you want and this season's on-trend products for flawless, glossy hair and hydrated skin. Big name beauty brands? Check. The things you love? Check. Find trending spring beauty and all you need to look and feel gorgeous at Walmart, on app and online.
Lowe's knows member-only doorbuster deals make SpringFest savings even better. Right now, rewards members can get 3 19.3-ounce Bonnie Plants vegetables and herbs for just $10. Plus, save $50 on a Charbroil Performance Series 4-burner grill, now $149. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 4/7, excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Selection varies by location, subject to change. While supplies last. Program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms.
This is the plaintiff, James White. He says he hired the defendant to do some work around his yard. He paid him, and the louse never finished the job. He now has to hire another landscaper to complete the work, and is suing for the $750 it's now going to cost him. This is the defendant, Chris. He says he completed this guy's job in November and was paid, and his workers were given tips. Then, 3 months later, the plaintiff says he wants all his money back. Huh? He worked hard for the plaintiff, and so did his guys, and he owes nothing. He's accused of not finishing up.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says that he hired the defendant to do some yard work around his house. The guy never finished, and he ended up having to hire somebody else to complete the job. Now, the defendant says he completed all the work. He was paid in full. He got a tip from the guy, and now he's being sued. Are you kidding? It's the case of 10-yard penalty.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. White. You hired the defendant's landscaping company to do some work in your yard. What did you hire them to do?
I was having my house renovated. I'm going to, and it's a fairly big project. So I was going to have a shed put in. And what I needed him to do and hired him to do was to put in a shed pad and to clear out a large group of ivy, some shrubs, a pear tree, and an old chain link fence that was all rusted out and had been there probably for 60 years.
Okay.
And that was the plan. And I looked up how could I find a landscaper. I looked on the web. He had a pretty good website. He's a local guy. So I called him up. He said he could come over and give me an estimate. And he could come that day, which was fine. So he did. And the estimate came in at, excuse me, $2552.70.
Okay, now that would be for the shed pad, which is a concrete pad, right?
No. That would have been for all of the work.
So he was going to do that and the yard cleanup.
Right.
Right. Now, at some point, he decides that you have to hire somebody else for the shed pad, that it isn't really something he's comfortable doing. And then the two of you agree that you're going to pay $1,500 for the yard cleanup, right?
Actually, not completely correct, no. We agreed that he was going to do the whole project, the shed pad and all of the yard work. And then when they came to do the work, which was the third week of December, he told me he came with a small crew. They did most of the ivy, but not all. They did the fence. This took about a day and a half. And they took down the shrubs and the tops of the shrubs down to a stump and the pear tree down to a stump. So he came, and with a small crew, they worked for a day and a half, and they got to that stage. And on that second day, he tells me he's never done a shed pad before, but that one of the guys who had worked on the pear tree knew all about it. He was also a landscaper, and that they would be able to do it. And he came back, because he wasn't there that morning, and said, okay, we can do the shed pad. We can do it this week, the Thursday and the Friday, but I'd have to give me a new estimate, which he did. And
so at the end of the day, the only thing you employed the defendant for was for the yard cleanup, right?
Yeah, but he was going to come Thursday and Friday and do the shed pad.
Who was? A different person or the defendant?
No, Chris and this other worker of his.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the plan. They're going to come back that Thursday to finish the ivy, get out the stumps, get rid of the last poles of the chain link fence, which they left across the street, and do the shed pad. That Thursday, which was December 17th, it snowed. So they didn't come. That was always the idea. If it snowed, they weren't going to come that day. We would just do it afterwards. And from that moment forward, he ghosted me. I've never heard from him again. He's never answered the phone calls, never answered any of my texts.
Do you have pictures of the chain link? I see the stumps. You were talking about something about the fence across the street. What is it you're saying there?
He was supposed to take the chain link fence down, which he did, and he was supposed to take it to a dump, and he was a commercial dump. Instead, he put it across the street on Town of Oyster Bay land and never took them away.
Let me hear from you, Mr. Chris. What's going on? Did you guys dump the fence across the street instead of taking it with you?
So I took the fence. I mean, I guess there was a few pieces left behind that we forgot about, but I mean, I should have brought it up, but I did go to the scrapyard and I did take everything to the scrapyard.
I don't know. What am I seeing then across the street? It's not a few pieces. What I'm seeing across the street is a lot. Like, what's that?
I mean, that's not the entirety of the chain link fence. I mean, there's chain link fence.
Well, none of it should be dumped across the street from your client's house, should it? I mean, that's like a fine of $1,000, and you're not supposed. It's also disgusting. People who live there in that neighborhood don't want some old chain link fence thrown there. And you're not supposed to do that at all. It's not that you left some chain link fence on his property. It's that you illegally dumped it across the street. That's what he's accusing you of.
I'm not saying we didn't leave them there, but I mean, it wasn't my intention to just dump them there.
But what was your intention when you just dumped them there, if not to just dump them there?
We didn't.
Why move them off the plaintiff's property at all?
Right.
If you're moving it off his property, it's because you figure you're doing this when you're dumping it. That's what dumping means. All right, talk to me about the stumps. Were you supposed to grind those stumps?
So that was the one part of the job that I told him I couldn't do. I couldn't grind the stumps. I told him that I can cut them down, but I never said that I can grind them. That was the one thing we couldn't do.
Let me look at the agreement that you have with the defendant. Overgrowth removal.
Right, and then I have everything in the...
And then dump fees, $150.
Right. So that was for all the biodegradable stuff, like the tree, the ivy,
so you
everything
actually
like
charged him for
the dump fee.
Dump fees, and then you dumped it across. You dumped part of it across the street.
The chain link fence was different. No, I'm charging him for the dump fees for taking the tree, the ivy, the shrubs, everything like that.
What happened with the shed pad?
I told him, like he said earlier, like I didn't really know. I never done something like that before, so. Someone who worked with me had experience doing it, so he talked to him.
You had a contract with him to do that, and then you just never did it? You never came back to his house?
Well,
because that's a bad look, too.
Right. Well, I told him I wasn't interested in doing it.
When did you tell him that?
I told him over the phone one day, because I did tell him that I was going to Florida for the winter, so I did tell him that I wasn't interested in doing that job anymore.
Okay.
Because then it snowed like he said, and then a few days went by, and then we were just done for the season. We just weren't working anymore.
Mr. White, let me ask you a question. What makes you think that the grinding of stumps was included in the overgrowth removal? Because typically speaking, when grinding of stumps is part of the project, it's delineated that the grinding of stumps are part of the project. Why? Because you got to rent a machine to grind stumps, and it's hard. And it's not usually part of just cleaning up a yard. All that your invoice says, and that kind of serves as your contract here, is it just says overgrowth removal. It doesn't say.
No, actually, this is an ad that Chris's company puts out, and it specifically mentions bush and tree removal.
Right.
Anyone could. Two parts to that. Generally, if somebody says, I'm going to remove a tree, it wouldn't be something where he says, I'll cut it to whatever part I want and you do the rest. Removal suggests that the whole tree, and those are the words he used when we discussed it, where he says everything we discussed. Secondly, we were going to have a shed pad put in at the spot where the pear tree was. Were we going to have the stump stick up in the middle of the shed? It's not possible. It doesn't make sense.
Was the shed going to be exactly where the pear tree stump was?
Yeah, so I do remember him telling me that he did want the pad to be like in the corner of the yard where that pear tree was. So
the shed to be in the corner of the yard.
Yeah, the pad. Yeah.
So what was the plan with that stump? Let's assume that you weren't going to Florida, weren't sick of the snow, and had stuck around and wanted to do that job. Then who would have removed the stump then?
So I told him that we never were moving the stumps. I said we can cut it down to ground level possibly.
How would you put the shed bed on top of the stump?
So if the stump was cut to ground level, that would be the best we can do. If it was cut to ground level, like even with the ground, and then we could just put the pad on top of it.
Let me just say that if you're not including stump grinding, you should be putting it in your contract, stump grinding not included, so that there is no debate. Is there anything else that you wanted to say, Mr. White?
I probably had thought to include dump fees in the suit, but I couldn't quantify the amount. And
where is the chain link fence right now? Is it still across the street?
Oh yeah, right this moment. Yeah, I took those photos recently.
Oh my goodness!
But I had asked the guy who gave me the other bid.
Why don't you call the city and squeal on the defendant and tell them that he's the one who left it there? You'll see how fast they go pick it up. He'll probably make the time for you and go pick it up. Go pick up the chain link fence that is in front of his house. Don't leave it there. Go pick it up, Mr. Chris. Got it?
Yes.
Okay. Otherwise, you know what you can do to remedy that, Mr. White. All right, so the question is, are you entitled to any money back, and how much money are you entitled to back? A lot of your case is based on the stump grinding, which I do disagree with you on that. Usually stump grinding is specifically mentioned. It is a real hassle, and it can only be done with a special machine, okay? So removal of a tree can mean chopping down a tree. Then the tree's gone, but the stump is still there. I agree with you that it is much better practice for a landscaper to say, I am not grinding your stump, that'll cost you another X. But I am also of the opinion that grinding is usually specifically quoted. And, your entire invoice, just says overgrowth removal. That's all it says. So I don't think...
there was a note...
Mr. Chris, this is the part where I'm agreeing with you, so I don't know why you're shouting out. Okay. So I don't think that you're entitled to that. However, I am very unimpressed with the fence across the street. I am unimpressed with ghosting you for all that time. What did you want to say, Mr. Chris? You were trying to interrupt to say something.
No, I did talk to him on the phone.
Talk to who?
Mr. White.
And after you never came back?
Well, no. Well, the phone call was he called me and he was demanding all the money back for the whole job, all the money back. And I just kind of felt like that was kind of ridiculous. He wasn't asking me to come back. He wasn't asking me for part of the money back. He just demanded all the money back.
So let's say that instead...
I have to interrupt.
So let's say that...
True.
Hold on one second. So let's say that instead of demanding all his money back, he said, I think you should pay me back some of the money. What would you have thought was appropriate for the job left undone when you guys didn't come back?
I don't think any of it. I mean, the only thing which I will say I'm wrong is about the fence. The stumps, I really don't think that... I should have came back for that. I mean, everything else I think was done. I mean, that's the one thing I'll say I was wrong in.
So tell me what you guys did do.
So there was a lot of, I don't know how long their property wasn't touched. I think he told me about 20, 25 years, he said.
Do you have pictures of the job before you did it and after you did it?
This is the one job I did not take pictures for. Usually take pictures
every... The one where you need it?
I know. I didn't think it was going to come to this.
Yeah, but you're a contractor who should be taking pictures before and after every job. And it's not even hard now. You don't have to bring a camera. You just go with your phone. There's just no reason for you not to do it.
I know.
All right, the $750 that you're suing for is entirely for removing the stumps and cleaning the ivy. Because here's the receipt for it from the other landscapers. I'm going to order the return of some money. It's not going to be $750. I'm going to order the return of some money, not for the stumps, because I agree with him, but for the fact that the fence wasn't taken away and you've had to live with that thing across your street all this time, and whatever remainder of the ivy wasn't taken down. I'm ordering the return of $250 verdict for the plaintiff.
So the plaintiff just gets a third of what he was seeking. He gets $250 rather than $750. Chris, the judge is pretty upset with you for what you did, but not the stump grinding. How do you feel about the outcome? You got to give him back $250.
I'm a little bit upset with the outcome, but I mean, I have no problem going back and taking it.
All right, that's the outcome it's going to be, and you're going to have to live with that. Mr. White, you're not getting quite what you wanted, but you're getting $250 back, the judge says. You think that's fair enough?
I'm surprised at the outcome. I actually thought the case was much clearer. I guess I'm just surprised.
All right, thank you. That's her decision, and you got to live with it. Harvey, what do you think?
So, Doug, it's really simple that when you have something like this, a landscaping agreement, you have to put down the scope of work. That is just the holy grail here. Write down exactly what has to be done, and then you can go to the judge and you can say, here it is, Your Honor, here's what was done, and here's what wasn't.
Hello, judges. Whenever I hear a litigant say, you can't prove it, I hear, I did it, but you can't prove it. Has this statement ever affected your view of a case?
Yeah, when someone uses the unfortunate phrase, you can't prove that,
Right.
It sounds exactly the way that viewer...
There's like an undercurrent of guilt.
I did it, but you can't prove it.
Right.
And sometimes, sometimes it's a slippery slope when you're assuming that people have your same, language skills, or that
Right.
you're, if the person were telling the truth, they'd be crying right now, or not everybody reacts the same way to things.
You can't generalize that way.
But
No.
typically speaking, when someone is so sassy that they're saying, you can't prove it, prove it.
Right.
That's usually a really bad sign.
It's like they're daring you to prove it.
Yeah,
and
they're daring you. They have figured out that there's no proof, so now they're going to say whatever they can say and get away with.
You're going to rub the judge the wrong way and maybe the jury the wrong way. And another thing that sometimes you hear in the courtroom, if you're a judge, is a witness who's testifying, and then all of a sudden it's the answer to a question isn't just the answer. It's, well, to be perfectly honest, or
that's just
honestly.
You want me to be honest? No, I put you under oath because I don't want you to be honest.
Right, and
that's just annoying, though. But that's not an indication of lying.
Usually not.
No.
Usually not. But you almost want to reach out and go, of course I want you to be honest, for God's sake. That didn't need saying.
Yeah.
It's time for basketball, and Uber Eats is dropping deals on game day favorites to keep you locked in on the action. Like when you're craving a buzzer beater, but also buffalo wings. Or when an upset makes you want to ugly cry into a pizza. And right now, Uber Eats has game day deals from McDonald's, Popeyes, Pizza Hut, Wendy's, and hundreds more local favorites. So you can keep your eyes on the ball and your hands on a hamburger. Order now, only on Uber Eats. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
This is the plaintiff, Frederico Davis. He says he has 5 cars he services at the defendant's shop, and all 5 of his cars have problems. The defendant won't honor his warranties. He's had it with trying to deal with this guy like a businessman and is suing him today for the state max of $5,000. This is the defendant, Jay Bernunzio. He says the plaintiff's a troublemaker. The guy still owes him money on outstanding bills, and he hasn't set foot in his shop for over 3 years. Oh, him? No way. He's accused of shoddy work.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff says that he had 5 of his cars serviced at the defendant's shop, and all 5 now have problems. But the defendant says plaintiff's a troublemaker who still owes him money, and he's being sued? Come on. It's the case of having a breakdown.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Davis, you're suing the tint shop represented here by its owner, Mr. Bernunzio, for $5,000, a statutory maximum in your state, for work that you've done over the course of the last, 10 years or so over there. Tell me what happened.
What happened was I was bringing my car to Jay's shop, it's a tint shop.
Which car are we talking about?
My New Yorker, 1977.
And what had you brought it to them for?
To get service back on, because they got warranty on my car audio, alarm.
So,
stuff like
but
that.
why had you brought it to them? The alarm wasn't working? The audio wasn't working?
Yeah, the audio alarm wasn't working. I just got it out the shop. I just got it.
Okay, so it wasn't working, and according to you, they had installed it when?
A few years back.
Few years, like 2011? The audio
Yeah.
in the...
2011.
Yeah, it was 2011. So according to you, you have a decade later, if your audio doesn't work, you are entitled to have them fix it because their warranty on your audio is how long?
A lifetime.
Okay, show me that on the receipt where it says that your audio is I've seen the receipt. I don't see where your audio is a lifetime warranty. So you're going to have to show me where it says that there's a lifetime warranty on your audio.
The subwoofer amplifier installation lifetime.
All right, so it says notes, radio install lifetime, window tint lifetime, subwoofer amplifier installation lifetime. And car alarm, extended 2000 car alarm, lifetime limited, and window tint lifetime. All right, so let me ask you, Mr. Bernunzio, on this radio, he says he has a lifetime warranty. What is your response to that?
Product is a manufacturer warranty. We are distributor dealer for products. They have their own warranties. We as a company offer a lifetime warranty on the install. So anything goes wrong with the installation, the way we install it is covered.
Right. That's because that's what it says. Each of those that say lifetime say the installation. I have a question for you where it says subwoofer amplifier installation lifetime. Everything says lifetime other than the wiring kit and the labor charge. So how would I know what my warranty is? That it's,
So a lot of times, like if we sell a product, they'll have their own warranty in the box, and this is just a receipt of us selling it and confirming the install. Under warranty and guarantee, that everybody kind of signs off on that underneath there.
It says this covers the way we install our products and not the product itself.
Yes.
All right, so what else about the New Yorker do you feel they should reimburse you?
The paint job I got on it, the Paxi tip, I spent over $1,200 on that thing.
That's a paint job you got when? Let's first establish when you got that paint job.
2016.
Where does it talk about the warranty on that?
It didn't show
a warranty.
One on this one,
All right, let's go to the next thing that you're unhappy about with the New Yorker.
That's about it.
Okay, let's talk about the next car that we're going to talk about then.
My Grand Dam, 2000 Grand Dam.
Okay, and what's wrong with that one?
Yeah. The car alarm is not working properly.
Okay, how long ago did you have that car alarm installed? 2016 or earlier?
Probably earlier. Let me see. Look like 2011.
Okay, so a decade later, the alarm isn't working, and you're under the impression that he has a lifetime warranty on it, but the lifetime warranty, again, those are all the same forms. Again, it's a lifetime warranty on how they installed it, if it turns out they did something wrong in installing it. And each of those invoices specifically says that they're not warrantying the product, just their install, that the products come with their own warranty. So is it going to look like this for all the cars that you're complaining about? So here's what I'm finding that there's a pattern of, Mr. Davis. It's, you're under the impression that the lifetime warranty applies to the product when it's kind of clear from the form that it pertains to the installation, their installation. If they did something wrong installing it, they will always fix that. So how can I force them to pay you $5,000 for failure to honor a warranty when you haven't been able to show me that anything that you're complaining about is actually under warranty? So based on what I'm hearing, my verdict in this case is for the defendant.
Well, the defendant prevails in this case, this $5,000 lawsuit that Mr. Davis had filed against him. Mr. Davis, what are you thinking right now?
I was thinking like it was crazy. I should have won, man. I got lifetime warranty on them, so I mean, what I'm gonna do, sue the product, but it's all good.
It's all good, and all right. Well, that's a good way to end it for you. The judge gave you every opportunity, but unfortunately, she found against you. Mr. Bernunzio, I guess you feel better about this point right now, huh?
I feel a little better. We're pretty confident in our procedures. I will still honor the warranties under the installation warranty for RICO.
All right. Well, I'm sure he'll be pleased with that. Okay, that'll wrap it up for this case then. The defendant prevails, and he does not have to pay $5,000 to Mr. Davis. Harvey?
Okay, Doug, 3 to 10 years before suing, you got to be kidding me. When you feel like somebody that did work for you did something wrong, you cannot sit on your hands. You cannot wait to sue, because anything could have happened in 3 years to that car that had nothing to do with the defendant. You sit like that, you lose.
If you ended up in jail, what would your friends and family think you did?
I am such a rule follower in a general sense that it would be something completely pretty innocuous that I got in trouble for. So I'm thinking maybe aggravated mattress tag tearing or somebody tearing tags off a mattress. I don't think you'll do that. Well, it does say under penalty of law, do not remove. So I'm pretty careful about that. So, God, you know, there is another thing. When I walk the dog at night, sometimes, occasionally, I've been known to pop open a can of beer, put one of those Huggies around it, and walk out into the street and walk the dog. You know, I know I'm not supposed to do that.
I thought this was America.
I know, that's what I say. You know, I mean, come on. You can't just sip a cold beer while you're walking your dog. You ought to be able to, but, you know, technically probably you can't. What about you? What kind of high crimes and misdemeanors would you be committing?
You know, if I ever wanted to kill somebody, it would be telephone customer service. So I wouldn't have the ability to do it. But if somehow somebody could make me really tiny to get to the other side, to throttle whoever keeps putting me on hold, and transfer me, bouncing me from place to place, and then disconnecting me, that's who I would kill.
Yeah, well, they've taken up, what, about a third of your adult life?
My life. One time, Christy was like in 6th grade. My eldest was in 6th grade, and the drama teacher said, which I thought was kind of nasty of the drama teacher, I want you all to look at a scene in your house and come and reenact a 1-minute scene from your house, which is, you know, a little bit invasive.
Right,
so every kid did whatever they did to, you know, exposing their parents. And my daughter was like, no, don't put me on hold, don't put me on hold. Hold on. Listen, I've been on hold for 45 minutes. What kind of customers are, no. That's exactly what her skit was.
That's what she sees every afternoon, right?
Okay, that'll do it for this session of the People's Court. We'll see you next time.